35th final of the British Individual Riders' Championship. We've already seen in a close weekend of racing many of the top fancied names disappearing by the wayside. We've seen John Watchman disappear from the final, and indeed here this afternoon we have 4 former British champions competing in the lineup. Well, with me now is Bill Gill, chairman of the Cycle Speedway Council. Welcome, Bill. Tell me, how important is the event in the racing calendar for the sport?
In the British Cycle Speedway racing calendar, the British individual finals are the #1 prestigious event. It's the opportunity, the single opportunity when the clubs can promote the sport at its very best, and it's the opportunity when the riders can excel, when there's always somebody that comes out of the crowd, was not a fancied rider to start with, but will end up in the final, the one big event of his life in Cycle Speedway.
What sort of preparation is necessary from a staging point of view for clubs to put on a meeting such as this?
For the clubs, the promoting clubs, to put on these prestigious events, it's at least 6 months preparation. They have to consider the publicity using every available means, television, newspapers, local radio, everything that's available to them. They have to bring the tracks up to the top class. They have to contend with the weather conditions in England. We have to contend with rain, we have to contend with sun. Whatever the situation, we have to be prepared for. And as you can see today, the inclement weather over the last 24 hours has certainly created a problem for the promoters in getting the track ready.
Indeed, all that adds up to quite a list. Do you find then that it is very difficult to find clubs now that can put on these meetings, or is the standard getting higher?
The standard in promoting clubs is getting higher, but it's still getting more difficult to obtain that standard, and I would think that we've got merely a handful of clubs that are available and able to put on these top-class events.
Finally then, Bill, we're here to watch 16 of the top competitors competing this afternoon. Personally, do you have any tips for the top?
Any one of 16, but I would look at those that I've seen this weekend that have shown some real ability. Alan Miller, of course, who qualified with the highest possible score, certainly looked very sharp, but the local lad, the lad from Suffolk, Kevin Sutton, looked very impressive on the day that I saw him ride. But I certainly wouldn't take anything away from Jim Varnish, who has won so many things.
Jim Varnish, the reigning British champion and indeed the reigning world master. Jim, as we heard from Bill earlier on, this is the premier event in Cycle Speedway, but before this final takes place, of course, a great deal of work goes in by the riders. How difficult is it to get to the final itself?
Well, firstly there's a qualifying round, which is usually a regional event, to qualify for the actual weekend. Then they come to the weekend, as this year it's in East Anglia, and the 64 top riders after 16 places in today's final. Basically the main difficulty is to work out how many points you need to get to the final. Obviously over 2 days you can get a maximum of 40 points, but usually there's a deadline of about 30, 31. And so, you know, everybody's really battling to aim for about 33, 32 points to actually get to the final.
Okay, and so for a rider such as yourself, what preparation is required to get to a meeting of this calibre?
Well, mainly the preparation starts straight from the beginning of the season, really. This year I was lucky enough to go to Australia, so you know, I got a bit of a head start on the rest of the lads. But towards the end of the year, everybody starts to get a little bit tired, especially after this finals weekend, you know. But basically, the main training is the equipment's got to be in top-class condition, and regular racing and regular training, really. But really, the most of the hard work is done before the actual season starts to get to a level and then stop at the level.
Sure. Now, for you, I know that personally you've had 1 or 2 problems this year because you have had some illness, indeed phlebitis in your legs. What difficulties have you encountered because of that?
Well, really, the main difficulty was actually it's blocked veins in my legs, the lower part of my legs, which is very sore. And actually, the main problem is it wasn't that it hurt that much; it's that the doctor said that I shouldn't race because it could really damage me, you know, on a long-term basis. But he told me to stop training, taking me off work. But like as he said I could start doing basic training now. So really, I think I've done quite well to get to the final today. So I'm going to go all out for it today. You know.
Are you confident that you can overcome that then, and you still can retain the title?
Yeah, I'm quite confident. Yeah.
Good, thank you, Jim. Finished in the top of the charts at the moment is Alan Miller. He finished just 1 point down of the maximum score over the weekend. He's with me now. Alan, as top qualifier, surely that must mean that your confidence is running pretty high this afternoon.
It was the last 2 days, I suppose, but I think now it's a different story. I scored, as you know, 39 out of 40. pressure's on me a bit. Everyone thinks it's rating me to win the meeting. I'm obviously a pre-match favourite. I'll wait and see what happens when I get out there.
I know now that you've had experience in 9 finals, and this is in fact the 10th appearance for you. Do you think that's going to give you an edge over the competitors that you've got to meet today?
Well, obviously a slight edge, but I still feel as nervous as I did when I reached the first final, so it's still the same for me, 1 or 10, it doesn't matter. I'd like to win, obviously.
What about the track? Because some people have said that the Norwich track is a good leveler. What do you think of that? Is that likely to suit your style of racing?
Well, hopefully. As you know, I'm fairly quick out the gate. Hopefully I can get out the gate fairly quick today, but there's a lot of other riders that are equally as good, so it's going to be, much as... we'll better stop that. So I don't know. I think I should do all right. Hopefully I finish in the first 3.
Lovely. Well, we of course wish you all the best. Thanks, Alan.
Thanks.
So indeed, here then come the riders for the 1985 British Individual Riders Championship. We've already riding at number 1 this afternoon. Then John Goodyear from Orwell. He is 25 years old. It's his 3rd final appearance. He qualified here with 32 points today, noted for his style from the back. He is indeed, of course, a former British youth champion. Riding at number 2, Alan Miller. We spoke to him earlier on. He was the top qualifier here with 39 points, very fast gaiter, former English League champion, and a member of the British Lions Tourist Party. Riding at number 3, Adrian Gale from Poole. Young man at the age of 22. He scored 32 points here during the weekend. This, of course, being his 2nd final appearance, and he indeed a member of the reigning British team champions. That's down there at Poole. Or Roger Ellis from Wensfield, one of the oldest members here today at 38, and lining up in his 11th final. He was champion in 1971. He scored 33 points over the weekend, and he's ridden indeed in more British finals than any other competitor here this afternoon. Riding at number 5, Tony Birch from South London. At 25 years of age, it's his 3rd final, 35 points over the weekend. He's the 2nd highest scorer, so surely he must be fancied for honours here this afternoon. Number 6, Malcolm Lane, a strong young rider, 24 years of age. 32 points he's amassed over the weekend. Very experienced in finals. He's been 3rd in the senior final before, and he's indeed been junior champion in 1977 and 1978, and youth champion in 1981. John Caudry from Basildon. This is his debut final. He scored 30 points over the weekend. He was 3rd in the British junior final in 1982, and I'm sure John will be wanting to prove himself amongst such top-class company. Riding at number 8, Jimmy Varnish, the current world champion. We spoke to him a moment ago. He's won the junior title. He's won the 2 youth titles. A member of the British Lions touring team in Australia. Riding at number 9, Kevin Sutton from Orwell at 29, his 4th final. 34 points over the weekend, and another member of the British Lions touring party in the winter. Riding at number 10, that's Steve Mullender from Wensfield. 21, another rider making his final debut. He's moved to Wensfield after several seasons with Wolverhampton, and enjoying indeed a very successful season. He's been capped for his country at Edinburgh early in the year. Riding at number 11, Les Bowden from Manchester. At 26 years of age, he's the 2nd highest qualifier with 37 points. He was champion in 1983, and this of course being his 6th British final appearance. At number 12, Tim Snook from Great Blakenham. At 20 years of age, he's one of the youngest riders in the final. He was a member of the British Lions touring party in Australia. He was British junior champion in 1982, and this weekend he scored 30 points to get himself into the final. At 13, Dennis Hubble from East London. 26-year-old riding in his 1st final. 30 points to him over the weekend. At number 14 is Chris Strutt from Basildon. Riding in his 4th final. He scored 29 points this weekend. A former champion on the Bow circuit in 1981, and him too also capped for England this year. In Glyn Whale from East London, a 27-year-old riding in just his 2nd British final. He appeared in the Bow British final on his home track. He scored 31 points here this weekend, and finding his best form this year, certainly in the last 12 months. At number 16 is Martin Zook from Chesham. He scored 31 points. He's another man making his debut in the final here this afternoon. And he has, of course, many years racing under his belt, and indeed the British team appearance to his credit too. The reserves then this afternoon, Ian Clark from Heckman Wyke, and the second reserve qualifying after a run-off here earlier on this afternoon, that's Andy Harris from Sandwell. Coming up to the tapes for the opening race in the 1985 British Riders Final. Lining up on grid number 1, that's John Goodyear. On number 2 is Alan Miller from Bristol. Grid number 3, that's the man from Dorset, Pools Adrian Gale, and lining up, just settling himself down on the outside, Roger Ellis from Wensfield. The riders make the final preparations to themselves and their machines, ready to come under the orders of the referee, asking them if they're ready and putting them under starters' orders. And it's Miller that makes a good start. He slides and the race goes on. It's Ellis who comes out of that. Ellis in front with Gale just behind. John Goodyear in all sorts of problems at the back, but it's Ellis who leads it. Ellis leading it from Gale. Miller still at the back in third place with Goodyear well and truly behind him. Ellis then leading it. Ellis with the bike's length in front of Gale. Gale trying desperately to get back at Ellis. Gale out in front. Ellis entering the last lap now. Gale looking desperately for a way round. Trying the outside. Ellis is seen covering it, and it's going to be on the line. Ellis ahead of Gale. Miller takes third place and John Goodyear is fourth. So good start then for Roger Ellis. A good start from the outside group position gives him 4 points in his opening race. He'll be pleased with that. Adrian Gale taking second place from the grid 3. Miller third from that grid 2, and John Goodyear from the inside grid position taking just 1 point. The 2 then on the inside from South London, Tony Birch, John Caudry next to him on grid number 2. On grid 3, Malcolm Lane, and on the outside, the current champion looking to defend his title here this afternoon, Jimmy Varnish from Birmingham. Riders again settling themselves in. Final look by the referee to check that everything is okay. The riders are all ready and they're under starters' orders. And it's an even break with Jimmy Varnish getting a lovely drive underneath from the outside grid position, hitting the front in fine style. The current champion then leads it from Tony Birch at the back. Malcolm Lane has fallen off, but it's definitely Varnish in front. Birch looking for a way, trying the inside. He's coming up the line, but Varnish covers it. Varnish covers it nicely. Still it's Varnish and Birch out in front. Varnish looking everywhere for Birch, trying to find him. Birch desperately trying to outwit him. But Varnish still leads it. He's looking comfortable, but Birch gets the drop. No, Varnish again able to cover it. Very, very good stuff. Varnish then it is that takes the checkered flag. Tony Birch in second place. John Caudry picks up a third, and Malcolm Lane coming around to finish in fourth position. Then for Jimmy Varnish in his title defence, because he's taken a win from the outside group position. That's going to stand him in good stead later on. Much needed win there for Jim Varnish. And as the riders coming up now for grid number for race number 3, lining up on the inside grid this time, it's Steve Mullender. Next to him on grid number 2, Tim Snook. On 3, Kevin Sutton from Orwell. And on the outside this time, Les Bowden from Manchester. Very, very important race. Always the first one is the one which sets the mood for the riders. A bad race can spoil the whole day, and a good opening ride can set them up just as they wish. And now under starters' orders. And from the start, Bowden making a dive from the outside, but it's Snook who gets in front. Snook is in front of Bowden with Mullender in third. Snook still leads it. Bowden still trying to come around the outside, looking for Mullender. Mullender's there. Mullender's up with them in third place. Mullender trying to find the gap between Snook and Bowden. It looked as though he got it there, but Snook has got his eyes everywhere. Snook and Bowden still leading it. Mullender dropping back a length. Snook still taking care of Bowden as they go into the last lap. It's Snook, Bowden, still Mullender in third, looking for opportunity. He's right up with them, he's right on their tails as they go into the checkered flag. Then it's going to be Snook. Snook takes it ahead of Bowden. Mullender just hangs on to third, with Kevin Sutton coming in fourth spot. And on that one, that very, very tight finish for third and fourth place was that Kevin Sutton just got a wheel ahead of Steve Mullender to take third place. So Mullender only got 1 point from his opening ride from that grid one. Disastrous start for young Steve. And what a good ride from Kevin Sutton there, plugging away at the back. But now the riders coming up for Heat 4. Dennis Hubble, the rider on grid number 1 from East London. He's next to Chris Strutt on grid number 2 from Basildon. Another East London rider on grid 3, that's Glyn Whale. And on the outside is Martin Zook. Martin Zook, of course, from Chesham. So here we go then with the fourth race. After this, all of the riders will have completed their first ride. And no doubt will have set their pace. They'll know what they've got to do after their first ride, whether or not it'll be picking points, lost points up, or adding to an already amassed total. They're under starters' orders. And from the line, Well makes a dive from grid 3, but on the inside it's Hubble who manages to hold on to it. There are three of them going up the back straight together. Well and Zook coming off in an almighty heap, and that gives Hubble the chance to get away. Hubble with plenty of space in front of him, and the referee no option but to stop it with those two riders stuck up there on the top corner. So a rerun called, and we wait the referee's decision on that one. Decided that he wants a rerun with all four riders, so all four of them get the chance to come back and do precisely the same thing again. Let's hope that we get them underway and have all four finishing in this particular rerun. Now for the restart in heat number 4, taking up their original positions on the starting area. Dennis Hubble, don't forget, on 1, Chris Strutt on 2, Glyn Whale, the man on grid number 3, and stuck out there on the outside from Chesham is Martin Zook. So already the drama being set here at Norwich in the mirror final. A number of reruns to begin the proceedings. Very much the case in these mirror finals, with very, very much at stake. Everybody desperate to get their hands on that mirror jersey. So they're settling down then. Referee putting them under starters' orders. And from the start again, Well makes a good one. He gets over on his clubmate, and again there's a pile-up. And Chris Strutt there just unable to hold on to his bike. Picking himself up though, and I suspect again a rerun. Yes, a rerun with all four riders. The riders then coming back for the third time of asking in the rerun of heat number 4, and what pressure this must be putting on them, because those starts certainly take it out of a rider. Maximum concentration on the grid whilst they're waiting for the tapes to go up. Maximum pressure as they pull away. We saw Glyn Whale desperately trying to get over from the start, making 2 good gates. Can he do it again? Glyn Whale desperate for a good start off a grid 3 gate position. Coming over on Chris Strutt and his clubmate Dennis Hubble. Dennis Hubble trying to get away on the inside and causing all sorts of problems. Again, they seem to be settled. And again, the referee just taking a final glance before he puts them under starters' orders. And again, Well makes the break, again over on Hubble, but he slides out, and Hubble takes the lead. It's Hubble from Strutt, Strutt in second place with Zook third and Whale fourth. Strutt coming over on Zook, but still Hubble leads it. Whale coming round the outside now, Whale trying to move into third, and no chance because he's run out of room on the back straight. Hubble leads it, still Hubble in front, plenty of space between him and Zook, and still more space between him and Chris Strutt. Hubble then coming round to take the last lap flag ahead of Martin Zook. Looking comfortable and relaxed, easing off down the back straight. He knows he's onto an easy victory here. So as Hubble takes the checkered flag ahead of Zook. And in third spot, that's Chris Strutt with Glyn Whale coming round to pick up his 1 point in 45 then. Dennis Hubble, having already taken 1 victory from his grid 1, lines up again for the second successive time on that grid to do battle this time with John Goodyear. on grid number 2. The Orwell rider from South London on grid number 3. It's Tony Birch, and another Orwell rider for good measure on the outside grid 4. That, of course, Kevin Sutton. So tough race here for Dennis Hubble, looking to conserve his score and record another victory off his grid 1. That's precisely what he needs to do his title hopes any good. John Goodyear looking possibly to hold Tony Birch. But Tony Birch, of course, renowned for his fast gating. They're under starters orders. And away they go. Hubble looked to have the start, but it was Birch from grid 3, but no, Hubble hangs on to the lead on the inside. Hubble it is who leads it ahead of Birch, and John Goodyear getting right in amongst it. John Goodyear and Kevin Sutton in all sorts of trouble, and Hubble comes out of that bend still in front, and Birch takes the opportunity to go into second. So Hubble leads it still with Birch, and Hubble and Sutton locking up, leaving Birch a clear run in the lead, with John Goodyear now in second place. Disaster there for Hubble, who was leading so well, but it's Birch now who takes over the lead. Birch, a clear leader from John Goodyear, who slips. John Goodyear, amazing stuff from Goodyear, slipping on the second bend. Kevin Sutton not quite able to catch up with him, and Dennis Hubble, the early leader, coming in 4th place. Tony Birch then the winner. John Goodyear finishing in 2nd place after that slip. Kevin Sutton 3rd, and Dennis Hubble coming round there to pick up his 1 point, and I'm sure he's going to be disappointed from that, from his grid 1 position. So the riders coming out then for heat number 6. This time Chris Strutt occupying the coveted grid position number 1. On grid 2 coming up now, Steve Mullender. Next to him, the fast gating Alan Miller. Alan Miller in 3, and on grid number 4, Malcolm Lane from Crawley. Finally getting themselves settled. Steve Mullender taking a moment longer, just waiting for him to be ready. And they're under starters orders. And away Miller makes the gate from grid 3, Strutt up on the centre, and the referee blows for a rerun. A rerun then in heat number 6. Miller straight back to the pits. He's going to clean his wheels off, come back to the grids with a clean set of wheels, without the possibility of slipping whilst he's putting in that initial first pedal, that all-important first pedal from the grid, for the rerun in heat 6. I wonder what's going through Alan Miller's mind now as he lines up, looking for a win from the grid 3 position. He knows that in the first rerun, in the first effort to get it started, he was up on the other 2 riders. They're under starters orders. And again, Miller makes a good start. He's clear round this time, ahead of Strutt. And Mullender makes the running on the inside. Miller in all sorts of problems there on the back straight. It's Mullender. Lane falls on the top bend, and again the referee's whistle sounds. He points to Mullender. Could be Mullender who is going to be sent back to the pits. And just waiting qualification of that. And in fact that is true. Steve Mullender then sent back to the pits, deemed to be the cause of the stoppage. And the other 3 riders now have to get back to the starting area. They have to get themselves dusted off and their minds focusing on the race ahead. Some of the many spectators gathered here this afternoon for today's final. Spectators travelling from all over the country, supporting their various riders and looking after their fortunes, cheering them vivaciously this afternoon. And as the riders coming up now for the restart in heat 6, never has there been so much furious action in the pits, getting themselves and their bikes ready. But that appears to be okay now. We're lining up then with the 3 remaining riders, with Steve Mullender back in the pits after that unfortunate incident. And I'm sure the other 3 riders now geared up and ready to go. And again from the start, Miller looked to have it, but it was Strutt who made the break. Miller taking the opportunity to dive underneath on the first bend. He's slipping a little bit, but he's still just in front. Strutt right on his tail. And Malk Lane is there. Malk Lane is up there in the inside. Malk Lane moves into second place. And Miller it was who looked to have brought down Lane. And Miller looks to have earned the wrath of the referee again, because Alan Miller is excluded for bringing down Malk Lane, and that is dramatic indeed. We now have a runoff or a match race situation with just two riders contesting in the third rerun of Heat number 6. With these two riders coming back to do battle in Heat 6, the only two remaining. Alan Miller dramatically excluded there after coming here the top qualifier. He looks as though his championship dreams are in tatters, because he scored a third place in his opening ride, followed by an exclusion in this, his second outing, and that definitely, I think, rules Alan Miller out of the 1985 championship race. But in the meantime, these two riders now back for the restart. Chris Strutt, then the rider on the inside, Malcolm Lane on the outside. And as they go, it looks as though Malcolm Lane has made the running from the outside, but a swift knock from Strutt puts him safely in front. Strutt it is who leads it, with Malcolm Lane right on his back wheel. Strutt trying to make up some ground. He's made almost a length on him. Strutt pulling away still from Lane. Lane seeming to struggle to get with Strutt. Still Strutt looking comfortable and in control as they go up the back straight to welcome the 1 lap to go flag. Lane just making a little bit of ground. Lane looking for a drop. Lane gets underneath, he's nearly level, but Strutt is able to close the door. Strutt closes the door, a few spokes clash there on the top end. Strutt it is then who takes heat number 6 eventually. And a shake of the hand there with Malcolm Lane. Malcolm Lane picking up a second place. Now the riders coming to the start for heat 7. Les Bowden from Manchester, the rider on grid number 1. He was second in his first outing. Glimwell is next to him on grid number 2. After finishing 4th in his first outing, he'll be looking to pick up some points here, and this is second ride. On grid number 3 from Basildon, John Corduroy, and on grid number 4, Adrian Gale from Poole. A moment to settle themselves down. They're now ready, and they're under starters' orders. Bowden it is from the inside who leads. Bowden and Whale at the front, with Corduroy and Gale hitting the back. Bowden, a former British champion, leading the field at the moment. Ahead of Whale. Whale not really looking to be in touch with Bowden. He's covering his second place, with Gale challenging him. Gale looking for a gap there. And Whale slipping a little bit there, but no, Gale still not able to find a way through. Bowden it is who still leads it. Bowden with Whale a length behind him, and Gale right on his back wheel. Corduroy still up with them. Corduroy making a challenge there on the outside. But it's Bowden who takes the checkered flag ahead of Whale. Adrian Gale holds on to that third place ahead of the Basildon rider, John Corduroy. Bowden decisive, because that gives him 7 points overall. He's only dropped 1 point from his first two outings, and I'm sure Les is going to be a lot happier with that score than he was when he first started. And now the riders at the tapes for Heat 8, and what a race this proves to be, because we've got on grid 1 Martin Zook. He was second in his first outing, and the gentlemen who are on the outside of him all won their previous races. So Jim Varnish on 2, Roger Ellis on 3, and Tim Snook on grid 4. Having won their first races, they'll be looking, each one of them will be looking to take a second win here, a second and decisive win. Which one of those is going to remain unbeaten, or if any of them? We shall have to wait and see. Riders under starters' orders now. And Varnish it is who looks to have taken the lead, but no, it's the Chesham rider, Martin Zook. Martin Zook just ahead of the 3 riders. Zook it is who leads it. Roger Ellis in second place. Jimmy Varnish relegated to third, and Tim Snook coming off on the top bend, way back. But still, Zook leads it ahead of these 3 riders. Roger Ellis desperately trying to find a way past. Jimmy Varnish looking to be struggling a little bit in third place. Roger Ellis still making all the running on Zook. Zook it is who leads. Roger Ellis trying the inside. Tried first the outside, then the inside. He's not going to make it. It's going to be Zook. Zook takes the checkered flag ahead of Roger Ellis. Jimmy Varnish coming in third place. And Tim Snook taking an uncharacteristic fourth place in that heat number 8. Completed 2 races, and we've got 4 riders all tying on the lead at the moment, having dropped 1 point. Tony Birch, he's got 7. Les Bowden, he's also got 7 points. Martin Zook from Chesham on that race win we've just seen, that puts him on 7 points. And Roger Ellis with a second place in that one, he also on 7. So nothing to tell between those 4 riders as the riders come out for their third race in a couple of moments. Just behind those 4 on 6 points is Chris Strutt. He's tying with Jimmy Varnish, the reigning champion. He's also got 6 points after winning his first ride, and that third place could have been costly. 9, because 2 of those early leaders coming together here. That's Martin Zook on the inside group position from Chesham. We're waiting still for Malcolm Lane to occupy the grid 2 position. On grid 3, the other man who is at the front sharing the lead with Zook is Les Bowden. Something having to give in this race between Zook and Bowden. And on the outside, John Goodyear. John Goodyear not enjoyed the best start to his British final, having scored 4 points from his opening 2 rides, so John probably a little disappointed. And he's on the unfavourable grid 4 position. I'm sure John's ability to come from the back is still yet to come into force. John, a very, very strong rider from the back of the field, one which everybody fears when he's behind. And there are the starter's orders. From the start, Bowden makes a good one over on Lane. Zook in all sorts of problems going onto the deck, taking Goodyear with him. And a rerun called by the referee, Graham Sutton. He blows the whistle immediately to bring them back to the starting tape. Tension greater than ever here as the crowd goes silent, awaiting the release of the tapes. Martin Zook and Les Bowden both under pressure here. They're both at the top of the tree, both desperately needing points to continue their run. And the starter's orders. This time it's Lane who gets away ahead of Bowden. Zook in third place, but he moves up to second. John Goodyear there on the inside making a play, but Lane being able to get away, make some space. Zook and Goodyear in a right old battle there, and that gives an opportunity for Bowden to come underneath. All sorts of things going on in this heat number 9. Lane it is then who leads it ahead of Bowden. Goodyear settling into third place and Zook relegated to last. A good ride then from Lane from the grid 2 position to come through, looking comfortably ahead of Bowden. Bowden settling for this second place. Goodyear in third, and Martin Zook, I'm sure he'll be desperately unhappy with that grid 1 performance there. Coming in last, Bowden took his score up to 10 points in that race. So he's still ranking among the leaders, although I fear that he may have needed a win to prove his point in that one. But nevertheless, the rider's now out for heat number 10. That's Tim Snook on the inside, just preparing himself. He's next to Tony Birch from South London on grid 2. Alan Miller, the fast starter, he's on grid 3. And Alan Miller desperately unfortunate in his first couple of rides. He had an exclusion in his second ride. So Alan looking to be out of the championship so far. The man on the outside then, Glyn Well from East London. From the starter's orders. And Birch makes the start. Birch it is, but he drifts wide, allowing Snook underneath. Snook gets away ahead of Birch. Snook it is who leads it. Snook and Birch battling for the lead. Birch trying the wrong way around the outside. Whale is still up there in third, and Miller out of the back. Snook then. Snook it is who leads it. Miller coming through for a do or die, and it doesn't pay off because he's left dumped on the track, and Snook still out there in first place. Birch relegated to third, but now he's trying the long way round the outside. And what an amazing ride from Tony Birch to come right round two opponents to take heat number 10. What a fantastic ride from Tony Birch, the South London rider, coming the difficult long way round. Tim Snook completely surprised there by that fantastic ride. Tim Snook relegated into second place. Glimwell was third, and Alan Miller, unfortunate rider there, his luck continuing to be on the poor side with another fourth place after that rather costly fall. Race to finish the first half with. That fantastic ride there by Tony Birch puts him in front with 11 points, and with form like that, who knows, that could well be the sort of riding that's going to be necessary to take him to the title this afternoon. Tim Snook, disappointed probably with that second place. Takes him on to 8 points, but he's still going to be there or thereabouts. Alan Miller continuing with his bad luck, a last place in that gives him just 3 points overall from his first first race after the interval. Then the rider's already at the line. Kevin Sutton it is, the rider on grid 1. Adrian Gale looking pensive on grid number 2. Jimmy Varnish on grid 3, and on the outside Chris Strutt from Basildon. They're under started orders now. Varnish makes a good one, but they're together going into the bend. Sutton it is who comes out of the bend in front ahead of Varnish. Varnish and Strutt coming together there, but still Sutton clearly in front. Adrian Gale nips into third place now, but still Sutton leads it. Sutton leads it ahead of Varnish. Varnish making a challenge, picking up some ground, and Gale right up there with them. Still Sutton looking to have a length on Jimmy Varnish. Sutton it is who picks the last lap marker. Sutton ahead of Varnish. A slight slip gives Varnish a chance, but no, there's still no room for Varnish to come through. Sutton it is then who wins heat number 11. Jimmy Varnish in second place. Adrian Gale third. And at the back there, Chris Strutt is up to the tapes. Roger Ellis making sure that everything seems to be okay on the start, but it's John Cordery on grid number 1. Ellis then on 2 with 7 points up amongst the leaders after 2 races, having dropped just 1 point. And what a long time it's been since we've seen Roger wearing the British Champions jersey, and how much Roger would like to get his hands back on that. Steve Mullender on grid 3, Roger's clubmate, and on the outside Dennis Hubble from East London. Roger Ellis taking another second to get ready. And under started orders. From the start, Cordery makes a good one, but it's going to be there all together. Ellis trying to go up the inside. Ellis it is challenging for second place. Ellis turns tightly, coming out of the corner. He's just picking up the lead from Cordery. Cordery takes a sharp cut across, bringing Ellis down. And Cordery earns the wrath of the referee. He's excluded. Roger Ellis dumped there on the inside. Cordery adjudged to be the man responsible. He goes back to the pits. And we have a rerun again with all 4 riders. With the exclusion, of course, of John Cordery. 3 riders only. Come back to the line then. Roger Ellis gifted with what amounts to a grid 1 position. He's got a free run into the bend with the exclusion of Cordery. And Roger desperately chasing a win here to keep his title hopes alive. A win here would put him on equal higher score with Tony Birch. Tony Birch put in that tremendous ride earlier on to give him the lead, and Roger would desperately like a win to keep up with Tony. And that now looks a lot easier a proposition for Roger when he lines up on grid 2 with the absence of the rider on grid 1. And he looks happy about that prospect as he comes to the ready and goes under starter's orders. And Mullender it is who makes the early start, but Ellis puts his foot down. He's through. And what about Hubble? Hubble coming through on the inside to surprise Ellis completely. Hubble takes the front. Ellis wondering what's happened there because he was in the lead and Hubble came from nowhere to take the front. Hubble in the lead. Ellis in second place. Mullender in third. Disaster there for Roger Ellis, chasing badly that win. And Hubble pulling away from Ellis. Ellis in second place, covering himself against Mullender. Mullender looking for a gap against his Wensfield clubmate. Still it is Hubble. Hubble to take the line, the checkered flag on the line. Roger Ellis finishing in second place and Steve Mullender in third. Riders then having had 3 races, and Tony Birch is the clear leader on 11 points with that second place from Roger Ellis. Not enough to get on terms with him because Roger Ellis now on 10 points. So Tony just a point ahead of Roger. Roger chasing him hard in second place at the moment on 10. Also Les Bowden has 10. He's well up there, and they're the 3 men at the top of the tree at this moment in time. Dennis Hubble did himself some good there with that win. He put himself on 9 points after 3 races. And behind them, Tim Snook on 8. Also Mark Lane and Kevin Sutton, along with Martin Zook. They all have 8 points. Those then the leaders after 3 races. All the riders now just having 2 races left. And the pressure getting more and more with those riders in front having to maintain that score. And the riders, of course, who are lagging behind looking to add a few points to bring them back into contention. Exclusion in his earlier grid 1, John Cawdrey coming out to line up on grid number 1 again in the second successive race. On grid 2 is his clubmate over there at Basildon, that's Chris Strutt. John Goodyear joining them on grid 3 and Tim Snook on grid number 4. Tim Snook on 8 points. He could do with a win here to push him up the rankings. Chris Strutt on 7. Looks as though he's slipping down the list a little bit. And John Cawdrey, unfortunate from his 3 opening rides, just having scored 3 points. So riders nearly at the ready. Moment there for Chris Strutt. And the crowd hushed once they go under starting orders. And this time Snook makes a good gate from the outside, but Cawdrey hanging on to the inside position ahead of Strutt. It's Cawdrey and Strutt, the 2 Basildon riders, in the front at the moment. A slip there from Cawdrey. Strutt still in second place. Goodyear is in third, and Snook relegated way back there in 4th spot. Not a good afternoon so far for the Great Lakenham rider. But Cawdrey still up there in front, ahead of his clubmate. Chris Strutt looking for a way around the outside. Goodyear now still in contention, pushing Strutt. Still Cawdrey. Strutt looking after the Orwell rider. And Strutt going way off as John Goodyear comes through up the inside. John Goodyear coming through to take second place, but it was Cawdrey who was the winner. Goodyear in second. And it looks as though there Tim Snook took third place ahead of the unfortunate Chris Strutt, who went way off on the outside on the last bend. Riders in contention lining up on the grid for Heat 14. Jimmy Varnish taking an inside grid. He's on 9 points. Les Bowden on 10. Just 1 point behind the leader. Dennis Hubble on 9. So these 3 riders all still well in there with the contention of the British title. Alan Miller there on grid number 3. How unfortunate he's been. 3 points from his first 3 rides, and he could well be the spoiler in this Heat 14. They're under starters orders. And from the gate, Miller makes a fast one from the outside, comes over, but it's Varnish in the lead. Varnish slips and Miller gets away. All sorts of things going on there as the referee blows his whistle to bring them back for a restart.
Bring you the referee's position in a minute. Yes, all 4 riders, please. All 4 riders back to the start.
position for heat 14. Still the same dramatic situation with the 3 riders on the inside grids, all well up there with Alan Miller in prospect for a spoiling situation coming over perhaps. Can you gate over on these 3? Can you mix it up? Jim Varnish wanting a win here from the inside grid position. Les Bowden just ahead of Varnish and Hubble in the rankings at the moment, and just 1 point behind the leader Tony Birch. Understarted orders. And again Miller makes a fast one from the outside, but Varnish still holds on to it. And what about Hubble again? Hubble coming up the inside, causing all sorts of problems for Varnish. And that little slip means that Miller goes in front. Miller goes in front now ahead of Bowden. Varnish gets up the inside of him. You won't see better Cycle Speedway than this. Alan Miller then leads it. Jimmy Varnish in 2nd place. Les Bowden relegated to 3rd, and Dennis Hubble back there in 4th spot. And Varnish is having a go at Miller. Varnish desperately trying to get on. He needs this win. Miller, the back marker at the moment, but he's in front in this race. And, oh my goodness, look at that! What a dramatic finish. Bowden, quick thinking as ever. He runs to the line. Jimmy Varnish just manages to pick up 2nd place. And what a dramatic finish to heat number 14. We said that it would be a dramatic race, and indeed it was. It looked as though Bowden won that race. Varnish was in 2nd spot. And I think it's going to need the referee to sort out who finished 3rd. That amazing finish to heat number 14 as they picked up their bikes and ran to the line was in fact Les Bowden in front of Jimmy Varnish. Dennis Hubble, he finished in 3rd, and Alan Miller relegated surprisingly there to last spot. So now moving on to heat 15. Adrian Gale on the inside line there, lining up in the colours of Pool JT Commercials. In the colours of Chesham, we've got Martin Zook, the leader so far with 11 points, 1 point ahead of the others after 3 races he is. Tony Birch from South London, and on the outside Steve Mullender from Wednesfield. Steve, having scored just 3 points, looking to be out of the title race. Tony Birch, the leader. Indeed, Martin Zook still up there with 8 points. Just a couple adrift from the leaders. He too could cause an upset here, and they're under starters' orders. From the gate, Gale makes the start ahead of Birch, but what about Zook? Zook up the inside. Zook goes into the lead ahead of Gale. Tony Birch trying to get underneath. He slips, and it's Gale who hits the front. Gale goes around Zook. Zook with Birch chasing him hard. Gale managing to make some space. And a slip there from Zook lets Birch through. Birch comes through into 2nd place, so it's Gale and Birch now in the lead. Gale ahead of Birch, with Mullender in 3rd and Zook going right back to last spot. Gale still leads it. Gale looking to have problems. Birch closing on him. Birch not quite able to get up the inside there. He's going to have another go as we come up to the line. But Gale it is who hangs on to that victory in heat number 15. Tony Birch was 2nd, Steve Mullender finishing in 3rd spot, and Martin Zook, after being the early leader, he finishes down there 16 then, and Roger Ellis coming up to his grid 2 position. He in a very, very strong position at the moment in the field. He's got 10 points. He's going to be looking to produce the goods in this heat 16. He's got Glyn Whale on the inside of him. He's got Malcolm Lane on the outside of him, and on the grid 4 position he's got Kevin Sutton. Malcolm Lane and Kevin Sutton on 8 points, still in a position to get amongst the leaders, but Ellis it is who is going to find this race vital if he is going with a chance of lifting the champion's jersey. A win here would put him in a tie situation for 1st place. They're already in the starting orders. It's Whale who makes the jump ahead of Ellis. It's Sutton who goes up the inside. He's in 2nd place ahead of Ellis. Malcolm Lane slips at the back, but it's still Whale who leads it. Whale slides. Oh, amazing stuff here at Norwich. bikes and bodies going everywhere. Whale slides, brings the other riders off. I suspect it could result in his exclusion. And Roger Ellis must think it's his birthday, because he was in third place there, desperately chasing a win. And again, the situation arises where Roger Ellis will come back to the takes with nobody on his inside. So a fortunate situation for Rog. He's going to get another gift of a Grid 1 and a much needed win in prospect.
Keep the pressure on from gate number 2, Roger Ellis, multiplying and Kevin Sutton.
Through the line then, Roger Ellis taking his Grid 2 position with Malcolm Lane on the outside of him and Kevin Sutton on the far outside Grid 4 position. So Ellis chasing the win here. All he's got to do is hold his grid position, get ahead, make some space, and that's going to put him in with a very, very strong chance of lifting the title. He's got his Grid 1 still to come, and I'm sure Roger knows exactly what he's got to do here. Riders are now ready, and they're under starters orders. Malcolm Lane gets a good one, but it's not going to be good enough to see Roger off. What about Kevin Sutton up the inside there? Roger Ellis in all sorts of problems, losing his pedals as Kevin Sutton gets away to make some space. Roger in second place. Ellis holding Malcolm Lane, but Malcolm Lane finding the inside drop. Malcolm Lane overtaking Ellis there in dramatic style, but still Sutton in the lead. Malcolm Lane takes second place, Ellis relegated to third. What a disappointment for Roger Ellis. Only had to hold his grid position, having the title within sight, but now he's relegated to third place, and that must mean that it's going to be a difficult task indeed. Kevin Sutton then comes through to take the checkered flag ahead of Malcolm Lane, who finishes second, Roger Ellis third. And with Glimwell back in the pits, that means no fourth finisher. Roger Ellis taking his score to just 12 points with his Grid 1 still to come. But with one ride remaining for each of the riders, there are two who come right at the top of the tree. Tony Birch still maintaining his high position. He's now got 14 points, and tying with him is Les Bowden on the same score. And chasing them behind them on 12 points apiece is Jim Varnish and Kevin Sutton, and joining them on 12 is Roger Ellis after that third place. So Roger's still not entirely out of it with a Grid 1 to come. He still needs to produce the goods in that vital Heat 20. And what an interesting heat that looks to be, because lining up on the grid for the final race of the day will be Roger Ellis along with Tony Birch, and indeed Les Bowden in there too for good measure. So that could well be the deciding race, a grand finale in prospect. For Heat 17, Glenwale on the inside. Steve Mullender is next to him on Grid 2. Jimmy Varnish is on Grid number 3, currently on 12 points. Well up there with the leaders. And on the outside, John Goodyear. John Goodyear on 9 points so far. Attention now at its highest as the riders go into their final ride, each one of them knowing precisely what's required. They're under starters orders. Glenwell makes a good one from the inside. Varnish is with him. Mullender is also in there. Mullender takes Varnish, but it's Well who hits the front ahead of Goodyear. Well and Goodyear in the lead. Varnish moves up into third. Well looking comfortable. He's got a length. And what about Varnish? Varnish comes up through the inside of Goodyear. Varnish looking to come on the inside of Whale. It's not quite there. Whale comes it, gets back on the line, and Varnish slips, allowing Goodyear round. No, he just holds on to it. Whale away in front, 2 lengths up on Varnish, who's being chased by Goodyear. Goodyear round Varnish now. Mullender trying to go through on the inside. Varnish in all sorts of problems. But it's going to be Whale who takes the checkered flag. John Goodyear is second. Jimmy Varnish third. And it's Steve Mullender in fourth spot. Heat 18. Kevin Sutton on 12 points, up with the leaders. lining up this time off of grid number 2. He's got Alan Miller on the inside. Alan, difficult man to go around. Alan Miller, I'm sure, will be looking to hold his grid position here. Martin Zook is on 3, and on the outside, John Caudry from Basildon. Kevin Sutton, the man to watch, on 12 points so far. A win would put him right up there with the leaders on 16 points. The under-starters orders. Miller it is who looks to have got the break. Sutton in second place, going up the inside now. Sutton a dive up the inside on Miller, completely caught Miller out, and Zook goes through. Miller goes almost through the fence as Zook powers through the gap that was left there by Sutton. Miller wanders back to the pits, a little bemused, and the rerun ordered with all 4 riders. In the rerun, riders now at the tapes again, looking to get away cleanly as they go under starters orders. Miller again from the start. He's trying to cover himself. He's not able to get over. He slips. Alan Miller slips there on that grid 1, allowing Kevin Sutton through. Kevin Sutton comes through to take the lead well ahead of Caudry and Zook. Zook going through on Caudry now. Caudry trying to get back, but he's not going to make it, I don't think. A desperate attempt. Zook goes right to the outside. Caudry manages to pick up his second place, and it's going to change again. Zook goes through. It's going to be taken in turns. Caudry looking for the drop. Zook covers it. Caudry goes round. Caudry round this time, so Caudry goes back into second place. Zook and Caudry having a real dust-up here. Caudry just hanging on to a second place. Oh, good gracious me. Again, drama on the last bend. Caudry just taking a second place. Alan Miller takes third. And how unfortunate for Martin Zook there, because his handlebar got caught in the drain. Unbelievable bad luck for Martin Zook. Making all the entertainment there, the crowd thoroughly enjoying that race. He finishes in 4th place overall, and the winner, of course, clearly out in front, untroubled in that race, was Kevin Sutton. 19 then, Malcolm Lane lining up on grid number 1. Dennis Hubble on grid number 2. Tim Snook, the rider, on grid 3, settling himself in, and on the outside from Poole is Adrian Gale. Three of them on 11 points. Tim Snook on 10. Looking to sort out some final positions in this race. Although the destiny of the title, I don't think, will rest here. Malcolm Lane makes a good start from grid 1, holding the inside. Hubble chasing him. Snook going up the inside of Hubble. But it's still Lane with Snook chasing, trying to make up the space. Gets caught on Gale there. Hubble taking the opportunity to move round. It's still going to be Malcolm Lane in front. Now Hubble going for a charge up the line of Tim Snook. Gale sees the gap and goes for it. Yes, Gale managing to sneak into 3rd place. Malcolm Lane still the leader. Hubble now in 2nd. Gale's earned himself 3rd, but he fell asleep there for a moment. They both came to grief heavily there. Snook, the first one to pick himself up. Gale manages to get on his feet, but it's Malcolm Lane the winner. Dennis Hubble coming in 2nd place. And as they punish Tim Snook in 3rd place, and Adrian Gale unlucky there to pick up just a 4th place for his efforts. Well, Heat 20, as we said earlier, promising to be certainly a grand finale to this 1985 Mirror British Championship, bringing together the 2 riders with the highest scores at the moment, Les Bowden, who will line up on grid 2, and Tony Birch lining up on grid 4. The atmosphere at fever pitch here at Norwich, as the crowd both getting behind their favourite riders. Bowden and Birch both in with a chance here of taking the title A win from either of those will give them the title outright. Roger Ellis in there on grid number 1 has 12 points. A win to him would give him 16. And if Bowden and Bircher don't make it to the front, that could well upset the apple cart. Chris Strutt currently on 8 points. He lines up on grid 3. And Chris could well get in there to mix all the others up and cause all sorts of problems as they line up. Hush falls around as they fall under starter's orders. From the gate, Tony Birch making a brave gate 4 try, but it's Ellis who holds it. Ellis holds it on the... He's on the outside of Strutt. Ellis moves over. Ellis is in the lead from Strutt. Birch can't seem to get up there. Bowden at the back too. Ellis and Strutt getting into a real situation on the back straight. Ellis it is who leads it. Birch now has worked his way up into second place. Birch and Bowden in second place. Desperate, they must get ahead if they are going to win the title. Chris Strutt back in there. Chris Strutt making a hole. Bowden and Birch going through the hole. Oh my goodness me. What drama. Birch and Bowden falling. Strutt is going to win it. Strutt is going to win it ahead of Roger Ellis. Tony Birch is coming third. Les Bowden. Absolutely unbelievable misfortune for Les Bowden. Unable to remount, coming in 4th spot. So what has that done to the P20? Judged by the referee was Chris Strutt. In second place, Roger Ellis. Third place went to Tony Birch, who was just able to finish ahead of Les Bowden. Les Bowden finishing in 4th spot. So waiting on confirmation of the scores, it looks as though Kevin Sutton and Tony Birch have finished in front, tying on 16 points, and a sudden death runoff required to decide the destination of the 1985 British Individual Riders Final.
For the first and second place and the third place. Traditionally, the third place will take place first. So we'll bring you the draw for the good positions in just a second. And in the meantime, if we could have the public address engineer through the announcing area, please.
Heats of racing, and what excitement we've seen here at Norwich today, with riders getting into all sorts of problems. The championship has still been thrown wide open. We have a 2-man runoff now for first place with Kevin Sutton and Tony Birch, and we have a 3-man runoff for third place between the riders that tied on 15 points. That's Malcolm Lane from Crawley, Roger Ellis from Wensfield, and Les Bowden from Manchester. Traditionally then the third place runoff to take place first. That'll be coming up in a second. Roger Ellis in that, along with Les Bowden, both of them unfortunate, both of them looking as though they had the title within their very grasp, only to suffer misfortune. Les Bowden in particular in that last race looking to hit the front, looking to have the title and the jersey half on his body, and then disaster striking in that rather unfortunate fall. So third place then, the riders coming up to the line. Malcolm Lane drawing the favoured inside grid position. Roger Ellis has drawn grid 2. And drawing the grid 4 position coming up now, Les Bowden. Quick adjustment to the machine there. All three of these riders already having won national titles of one nature or another. Malcolm Lane having already won a junior and a youth title. Roger Ellis having been British senior title holder. And even Les Bowden. So their qualifications need no further word from me. And here they are now, lining up. The winner of this race taking third place in the 1985 Mirror Riders Final. You can hear a pin drop around the track as they get ready and go under starter's orders. Lane it is who makes the start. Bowden looking for a drop on Ellis. Ellis holding on to second place. It's going to be Lane. Lane making up a bike on Ellis. Bowden now coming through into second place. Bowden comes into second place. Ellis gets back underneath him. Ellis going underneath, but no, he's not quite there. Still Lane leads it. Now Bowden trying desperately to get under Lane. A slip there costs him a chance. And my word, these riders are slipping this afternoon. Lane it is who greets the flag. 1 lap to go. Bowden hard on his heels, going for the inside. A last-ditch effort by Bowden. Bowden falls. It's going to be Ellis. Ellis! Oh my word, more drama as Ellis moves up into that winning position through the gap left by Les Bowden and Malcolm Lane. So Roger Ellis then, the winner of the runoff, he takes third place, but your heart goes out to Malcolm Lane after leading all through the race. He was nudged out by Les Bowden, and Roger Ellis saw that one coming a mile away and took full advantage of that and raced himself to the third place on the rostrum. The two riders then coming up to the line for this very, very vital runoff for first place and second place in the 1985 British Riders Final. Referee Graham Sutton going to toss the coin. It's Kevin Sutton who calls heads. Heads it is. And I imagine, yes, he takes grid number 2 and concentrates hard on what he's got to do. Quick shake of the hand with Tony Birch. Tony Birch taking the grid 4 position as is customary. And what a moment of drama after this action-packed and thrilling final here at Norwich. Still after 20 races, the final destination of the jersey not yet decided. And that's about to take place now with this runoff. Both riders having never won a British title. So one thing is sure, that we will see a new name on the British Championship trophy. And they take their time and relax for the most important race in their year. And once again, quietness falls completely around the circuit. The referee puts them under starters orders. Tony Birch going for a big one on the outside. He hits Sutton. Sutton moves into the lead. Birch hasn't finished. He's coming back at him. Quick slip there from Sutton. Sutton trying to come over, and Birch looking for a way around the outside. Birch still looking for a way around the outside on the back straight. He's going to try and get away from Sutton to make the drop, but no, Sutton's got him covered. Sutton watching his every move. Sutton knows exactly where he is on his shoulder. Sutton riding a superb race. Birch unable to find a way past. Birch really trying. He's going to have to go around the outside. He's going to have to try a sweep. No, he's going to drive underneath, but no. He's lost some ground there. Sutton trying to get away. And a slip there from Tony Birch. That gives Kevin Sutton the 1985 British Riders' Championship title. And for so many years, we've seen Kevin Sutton tipped as the man to take the title, and 1985, the year in which he does it. And look at that as the riders come out to congratulate him in the customary way. Tim Snook first out. And as Kevin Sutton goes into the air, a standing ovation for a very, very popular rider from Orwell. The British champion 1985. Roger Ellis there, also adding his congratulations as all the riders gather round. I wonder what Kevin Sutton's thinking at this moment in time. Lining up, collecting their trophies now, and how well they've contested this very, very open and exciting 1985 British Riders Final. There goes Chris Struck just receiving his mementos, the mirror pennant and the mirror medallion. Many of the riders in contention, in with a chance of winning the coveted mirror jersey, and contesting in probably one of the most exciting mirror finals that I've certainly ever seen. And I wonder how long we'll have to wait in order to see a final which will provide as much excitement and as much drama as that we've seen today.
In third place, let's hear it for Roger Ellis.
Ellis then coming to collect his third place mementos, the Mirror Cup, the Mirror Pennant and the Mirror Medallion. Roger, who has finished on top of the world on one occasion, he's also been British champion. Roger, I know, will be delighted to have finished third this afternoon. Posing for the inevitable photographs.
1, 2, 3 seconds and a third. Finishes with 15 points and won that fabulous run-off coming through on the last corner of the last lap. Now, what can you say to the lad who's finished second? You can't come closer to that British title and still not win it. Let's hear it once again for Tony Birch.
A wonderful reception for Tony Birch. He's provided so much entertainment here this afternoon. He looked to be the one who was going to take the jersey, and he just lost out. Provided us with his first class run-off. Superb Cycle Speedway race. We've seen him in some of the best Cycle Speedway action here this afternoon. And as you just heard, how can anyone get so close to the title and not be the champion? Tony receiving the runners-up cup and runners-up medallion from the Daily Mirror promotions man, Mr. Peter Muller.
In many respects, the one that it's all about. Because this rider has won the 1985 Mirror Senior Riders Championship. Kevin Sutton from Norwich.
And more well-justified applause for Kevin Sutton, who stands proud on the highest part of the Mirror rostrum, taking the Mirror British Championship in 1985, the Mirror Cup, the Mirror Shield, the Mirror Medallion, the Mirror Pennant. But the one item which I know every rider has his eyes on is, of course, the Daily Mirror jersey. And how well he looks in that deserved piece of clothing. More inevitable photographs of the top three in the Mirror British Final 1985. Kevin Sutton emerging victorious, Tony Birch in runners-up spot, and Roger Ellis in third. And it looks as though we're going to have a quick word with Kevin Sutton.
It's taken a long while coming. How do you feel now? There you go. That's my turn, so. Well done. Nicely said. That's the sign of a good champion, not only thanking people who support him, but also thanking those who've come along to make it such a great day. So once again, if we could ask the three riders, the 1, 2, 3, if they'd like to take to their bikes. And can we ask all the riders to stay in the centre green, because we want to take a couple more.
Well, there you have it, the 1, 2, 3 in the 1985 Mirror Riders Final, about to take over their bikes to do one lap of the track, to the deserving applause of the crowd here today. And what a superb meeting they have been treated to. One of the best finals in memory. Action-packed right up to the last moment. 2 bonus races to boot. And what a knife edge we finished on. So Kevin Sutton then, the British champion 1985, to lead the parade around the track, a lap of honour for these, the 1, 2, 3 in the Mirror Final. Speedway Club, the club responsible for putting on this first-class meeting here this afternoon. Pete, I think you'll agree it's been absolutely superb. The racing has been fantastic, but every final, of course, has an awful lot of hard work going into it before the racing takes place. What sort of preparations have you found yourself making for this event?
Well, one of the biggest problems was importing the seating. Obviously, we have to provide at least 500 seats, which we've managed to achieve, but it's been quite a job to get all them, in fact, some manufactured, some imported from London area, to get the thing up to the standard required.
And I know that you've known about this final for a couple of years. How long was it, or how long ago did you have to start actually preparing to put the final on?
Well, indeed, we have known for quite some time, but we really didn't start concentrating on it till the beginning of this season. We did a little bit, but then by the mid-season we realised we needed to get a move on, and we really put a lot of effort in from the middle of June.
I see. So some of the budgets, I can understand, must be very, very tight for you. How does the work actually get done?
Well, all the work's done by the volunteer work of the members of this particular club. They've spent many hours at it, evenings and Sundays, whenever available, to get the thing up to the standard required.
And how do you feel now that it's all over?
Now, very pleased. Had a really great day's entertainment, I think, and the weather's held for us, so what more can we say?
Well, certainly a Mirror from the Mirror Group newspapers, the promotions executive. Peter, this is the 10th anniversary of the Mirror's involvement with the British Cycle Speedway finals. I think you must be becoming something of a fan of Cycle Speedway. You've been to 8 of them. How did it compare today?
Well, I think today was a brilliant day. I think of all the 8 years that I've been here, this has certainly been one of the most exciting finals. And of course, I think one of the things about Cycle Speedway is that because each of the courses is slightly different, you have to have a completely different set of skills to do each one. And that's what makes the final not predictable in any way, and what makes it a very exciting sport, and therefore a very good one and interesting one for us to sponsor. I think the other thing I would say about Cycle Speedway is that it is one of those, if I can describe it as minor sports, but nevertheless it is a sport that means a great deal to everybody who takes part in it, and therefore as a newspaper that has to be involved and interested in our readers, we're very pleased to have this way of getting to people in perhaps means that we might not otherwise do, and it's certainly been a very fruitful and beneficial sponsorship during the last 10 years for the Mirror, and we look forward to doing it for many years to come.
Well, certainly we look forward to that too, and thank you very, very much for your support.
Well, I look forward to being here next year.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank